Periera just owned Magomed Anklaev, and this is absolutely brilliant on his part from a marketing perspective, from a fight promotion perspective, everything. I absolutely loved it. So here is what he said. So what's been going on behind the scenes, and I'm going to tell you about that in a minute, is that Alex Periera and Magomed Anklaev have been going back and forth on Twitter. And basically, Magomed Anklaev has been complaining about the fact that Alex Periera chose this specific date in March because of Ramadan, right? He is thinking that because of the lack of food and water, it's going to give Alex Periera an advantage. And he's been saying the only reason you chose this is because you don't want a fair fight, etc., right? So Alex Periera claps back at him. Before I get into it, if you wouldn't mind, hit the like and subscribe button. Helps with the algorithm, helps grow the channel. Alex Periera claps back at him and basically says, listen, I don't know whether or not you're actually fasting, because we're both at the PI this week and I'm looking in the fridge and I'm seeing a bunch of lunches and different things like that with your name on it. What you're doing right now is you're simply using this as an excuse so that when I beat your ass, you're going to be able to come back and say, oh, I want a rematch because it wasn't a fair fight. And you're going to be whining and crying and all that other kind of stuff. And so this is so interesting to me. First of all, this is like hilarious back and forth and all these things. There actually is a video out there. I don't know if he still practices, but there's a video out there of Alex Periera actually taking the Shahada and converting to Islam. I don't know if he still practices or if he changed his religion or anything like that. But at the end of the day, he probably has some basic knowledge of what goes on in Islam, right? And so him basically saying like, no, you're not actually fasting. You're not actually doing the stuff you're supposed to be doing. You're just using this as an excuse so that you can come back at me and, request a rematch, this and that when I win, right? So this is a really interesting. First of all, this is a great fight promotion, right? I love the fact that he's like they're going after each other. I love the fact that Magomed Anklaev is accusing him of this, and quite frankly, he's being a little bit of a baby, in my opinion. And I think Alex Periera has a really good chance of winning this. But the reality is neither of them are actually typing out these messages, right? Neither of them speak English. So they're either using Google Translate or like Grok or the AI to do it, or they're getting their managers to do it for them, right? That's kind of what's happening here. So first of all, let's be honest about that. It's not them going back and forth. It's their managers and Ali Abdulaziz kind of playing the game here, right? That's what's really happening. But what do you guys think about this? Like, do you guys think that Magomed Anklaev is justified in his complaining and saying that, hey, listen, like, you chose this date because I am the most dangerous guy in the division for you. I'm the most difficult fight for you. So you wanted to give yourself an advantage, which honestly kind of like fair play to Alex, right? He's the champion. He can choose when he defends his belt in a manner of speaking, right? And so if he chooses March because that works best for him, and Magomed Anklaev truly wants a crack at that title, right? No matter what, you're gonna say yes, right? So and this is the thing, right? All the champions, the one area I would say the ball is in their court, as they say, is that they can pick when they fight, right? They can say, oh, I'll do 315, I'll do UFC 312, 313. Like, the UFC will approach them and be like, hey, do you want to fight on this day? And they can say yes or no. And for the most part, they can choose the time that's most advantageous and works best for them. There are some exceptions, of course, like the situation with Aljo and all these other kind of things. But for the most part, like, they do get to have sort of that, okay, I want to fight at this time, or I want to fight at that time, right? For the most part. Now, and obviously, if you're coming up on a really difficult fight, you do want to give yourself the biggest advantage possible. At the same time, right? Like, Magomed Anklaev should plan out for this, right? If he wants to stick with Ramadan and kind of do the fasting in a proper way, hire a nutritionist or figure out a way to do this where like you've got the optimum amount of energy and you can maintain your fast, right? That's just the reality. Like, if you don't plan accordingly, it can be really bad for you. Now, of course, like I'm no professional fighter, as you all know, right? But I do Ramadan on a regular basis, and I run marathons and I do triathlons. I do all these other type of things, and like you have to get the nutrition and the water and all these other kind of things right if you want to be able to do it. And I don't do it at a very high level, right? But if you want to be able to like accomplish things you want to accomplish, you got to plan that shit out. and he is a professional athlete. So like, to me, the fasting thing is a pretty lame excuse, right? And I mean, the reality is, especially now, especially in Las Vegas, like, you're only really going, I would say 12 hours, 12 hours at most without food. You can have breakfast in the morning, you can eat at night, break your fast that way. Like, can get training in during the day when you're fasting. And I mean, I don't know what his sequences look like, but the like Ramadan only started March 1st, right? So he's only had a few days of this. Whereas like in his training camp, he was able to eat and do all the stuff no problem, right? So by the time it actually gets to him actually being able to fight, like Magomed Ankalaev will have been able to break his fast. He will have been able to, you know, eat something. It's not like he's going to be fighting on an empty stomach. Like a lot of fighters do that anyway, so it doesn't seem to impact them. So like this is to me, I agree with Periera on this one. Like I think that Magomed Ankalaev is really just trying to use this as an excuse, so that if things don't go his way, he's gonna be able to try to angle himself into another title shot. With that, like that's not happening, right? Like look at how long it took him to get back in there, even though he was the clear number one contender. There's no chance he's getting another crack at that title anytime soon, right? Maybe they do him versus Yuri if he loses something like this. But then, of course, if you see the other side of it, where Alex Pereira's like, no, like you don't know if this is true, right? You don't know what's actually going on behind the scenes. But if you see, like, oh no, he's actually eating, he's doing his lunches, and he just made a Twitter post like, yeah, like I haven't fasted on the days that are necessary, right? So like obviously some days where he needed the extra energy for his performance, all these other kind of things. He wasn't fasting. So it's just interesting to look at and to sort of see, uh, you know, maybe this isn't indeed a built-in excuse, because if he's not actually following it, if he's eating just so that he can get optimal training and optimal performance and all these other kind of things, then that throws that excuse out the window too. So it'll be really interesting to see how this all plays out. I'm really excited for this fight, and this fight, like this pay-per-view. I think it's going to be fantastic. And honestly, guys, like I'm picking Alex. I think Pereira is going to actually win this one. Like for a while, I was leaning towards Magomed Ankalaev, but the more I think about it, I just think that he only has one path to victory, which is to take Alex down and to try to hold him there and do damage. Alex is good at staying safe on the ground, and he's going to have 5 chances to get back up and do damage. So I'm like, and the judges prefer damage. So unless there's a huge amount of control time, and like Ankalaev can finish, right? He can finish him. He won't submit him, right? But he could probably get a stoppage with ground and pound. But right now, I'm picking Alex. I think Pereira's going to take this one. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. What do you think about the accusation that Magomed Ankalaev is using Ramadan as an excuse, that he's not fasting properly, all these other kind of things? What do you think? Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.